Well, we don't want the rain to go away here in Sandestin. We've had some of it this week, and we need it. It's nice to see things kind of green up around here. Cuts into the old golf and walking time, but it's okay because we need it. Hope you're doing well wherever you are. If you're here in Sandestin with us, I hope you come to church on Sunday at the gathering. We meet at the Linkside Conference Center here at 10 o'clock, and would love to have you. The purpose of these little videos, and thanks to those of you who take a peek at them, is just to kind of give you a head start for Sunday morning. They're short, sweet, but just want you to know what we're going to think about in worship. Some personalities, that really tends to help, to have just a little bit of data to set their mind toward what we're doing that day. If you're not one of those personalities, it's okay. Just come on and be surprised, but hopefully the video is helpful. Matthew 16:13 through 20 is a very important text in the Bible. It's a very pivotal text. The Gospels that have this story in them place this story in a position where you know how important it is. For Mark, it is actually what a lot of scholars call the linchpin for the whole gospel. It's where it turns to where the secret that Jesus has been telling his disciples to keep is now out, because one of them has made a very personal declaration of faith based on a very personal question Jesus asked them. Personal questions can be tricky. Sometimes we prefer questions that are more vague or more general. But when someone asks us, "What do you think?" the question sometimes becomes a little harder for some folks to answer. I know a person who told me one time that she can recite anything from memory. She has a photographic memory. If you ask her to get up and recite a poem, a quote, a paragraph from a book, that she can get it word for word without trouble. But she did say she hates it when she's called on to tell what she thinks about something. What are your words about this? Had a guy in one of my churches that was a brilliant public speaker, but he led on to me that when asked to share in church regarding something that was personal for him in his faith and his belief, he was terrified. So he had never been frightened about public speaking in his life until he was asked to share personal answers of faith. The text that we're going to look at really is about Peter's confession, is what we call it, of faith to Christ. When Christ says, first, "Who do men say that I am?" Well, the easy answer to that, is to get philosophical or to list what current answers are. But then he turns the question back to them and says, "Who do you say that I am?" And that's where we'll land Sunday, is who is it that we would say out loud that Jesus is? In my seminary days, I had a wonderful New Testament professor. I think he was a world-class scholar. He was famous. He was wonderful. One day in class, it was on this text that we came in studying the book of Matthew, and we knew that he liked to call on students. It was the old school type professor that loved for you to be called on and for you to give answers based on what you have studied the night before. So I was kind of ready for him. I had studied what this scholar and that scholar said about this text, and sure enough, he rarely ever called on me, but he called on me in that class. "Can you tell me what you think this passage is saying?" Well, and I hit the mark with what the scholars were saying. I gave him a couple, and as I went to the third opinion, he stopped me. He said, "No, you've missed my question entirely. I don't want to know what the scholars think. I want to know what you think this passage is saying." And how scary it was for me to tell this scholar what this young seminarian thinks the meaning of this passage is. Come to church on Sunday or watch the video if you're far away. But let's think together about Jesus' question. Who do you say that I am? I hope to see you then.